Okay, now let's make sure. Looks like it works.
Awesome.
Stop shaking my hand.
Okay, well, for the benefit of our guests, we have our class worked on 4 projects for the semester. One was Get a Grip Training Center, and that will be the first group to go. And it's a training facility over near Silvis, Kelowna, in that area. We'll learn more about that. And then the second group will be Cinderella Cellar, and that business is it's like a secondhand store that sells a lot of products, and money is used to benefit, I believe, the retired nuns of the diocese. But if I'm wrong, I can get corrected on that. The third group we have will be the market, and I don't believe they're on board yet. They'll probably join later since their project's not up for about an hour. And that is, it's a clothing and accessory shop over near the iWireless Center. And then our last group is Lily and Pine, and it was a startup business from a few years ago, organic soaps and gels. They partner with Isabel Bloom and some other businesses. You can find them, I know you can find them in the Hy-Vee on West Kimberly, and it's a business we've worked with before. So those are the 4 groups that we're going to do. Each group had a different set of projects. Basically, it needed to be marketing related, but to try to help achieve one or more of the goals of the businesses. So for our guests, as I mentioned in the email I sent you the other day, we would be delighted if you would like to stay on as much as you want. We'll be done by 2:50 p.m., but each group will go for about 25 minutes. I've asked them to present maybe between 10 to 12, 10 to 15 minutes. And I'd like to have some time, maybe 5 to 10 minutes for Q&A before we move on to the next group, and then we'll get through all of them. But even though the projects are different and so are the businesses, feel free to stay with us. You might learn something that another group is doing that you might want to incorporate into your business as well. But understand people have busy schedules as well. And if you are unable to stay with us or have other things to do, don't worry about it. Just go down to I think somewhere in your lower right-hand bar, and you can probably just X out of the meeting. So with that, we're kind of running up against the schedule here. So I would like to introduce the first group to go, and this is the group that worked on the project for the Get a Grip Training Center, and I will let you guys take it away. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks, John. So I'm Jake, and we did Get a Grip Training Center. I worked with the other 3 on the slide. If they want to introduce themselves right now, they can go ahead.
I'm Katie.
I'm Hunter.
Joe? Oh, he's on mute.
His microphone's not working.
Yep, I'm Joe.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, we'll get started then. So we kind of divvied this group up into 4 different roles. I was the team leader, kind of main communicator, and I also worked on some small projects that me and Kevin, the owner, had throughout. And then we had Katie and Hunter, who were pretty much the social media gurus. They did an excellent job with all the social media posts, whether that's Facebook or Instagram or the other social media sites that they use. And then Joe was kind of our main website designer. He did an excellent job revamping their whole website and also kind of getting that started. So Hunter, if you want to go to the next slide. So we just kind of wanted to stay on what Get a Grip was. So as you can read there, Get a Grip is a training center it's called an obstacle course racing training facility. It works for those in the Quad Cities and the surrounding areas. It is more than just an obstacle course racing training center, as they also have yoga and Zoom classes. They have a nutrition planning and group workouts that you can do. And then the owners, Kevin and Jennifer in Norville, along with their family, opened the training center in 2019. And they've been helping pretty much anyone that's willing to come either change up their workout or try to get their fitness goals back in track. And they're located off of Route 6 and Unit 41. And they're, like I said, they're a perfect indoor-outdoor training facility. So when we met with Kevin and Jen and the rest of the family, we were really excited with who we met. They were very passionate, very excited, and very dedicated to the fitness industry, and they loved helping others and working with others. And we were really excited to get to work with them. They had a small gym that had a very personal touch, which was where we were excited to kind of help with, and we kind of set aside some goals. So their main goals for us was to improve their membership numbers, improve their website, improve social media, and then some other projects throughout that kind of went along kind of throughout the whole semester. So as we started off, John kind of at the beginning of the semester showed us that three-circle model between the company, the competitors, and the customers. And we really wanted to show this with Kevin because we felt like it was very beneficial. So what areas we wanted to stress was the competitive advantage, the points of parity, the competitor's competitive advantage, and kind of the negative equity too that maybe Get a Grip was doing, and maybe they should kind of stick away from. We kind of found a lot of different things through the competitive advantage and the points of parity, whether that be what we were doing exceptionally well that other gyms weren't maybe doing at all, or maybe weren't doing as good as us. And then also things that we were doing that other gyms were doing, and we needed to try to figure out what we could do different that would set us apart from the rest. So kind of what we learned from the Venn diagram, like I said before, we found out kind of what our competitive advantage was, and we also found out what our target customer was. So at the beginning, I think on their website, it said that they were looking from anyone ages 9 and up. We thought that was a great start, but we kind of wanted to narrow that down. We had kind of three different areas of what we were kind of helping with. We had the training, the people who were starting to get into training, the people who were doing the yoga and Zumba classes, and then also the other people who were just trying to change up their workout or kind of get a kickstart in a different way. So what we did, we tried to figure out a target market for each of those so that we weren't having a broad market. We could narrow that down for each of the posts that we were doing maybe later, or also for the website. And then also we wanted to do that so we could change how we tailored our posts towards the individuals. We weren't going to have our posts be the same for the Zumba classes as we were for the yoga or the training center. We were going to kind of have those different, and we were really excited about that.
Okay, so I like Jake had mentioned that we separated into 4 different sections. I took on social media because that's kind of what I did. That was my strong suit of my marketing project from my internship last year. So kind of the goal was to grow natural followers. They had like a good amount of following, but they wanted to grow followers naturally, because what's the point of having followers if they aren't going to engage in your posts and like and comment and do stuff like that? So we tried out some new designs on the posts and like a more natural, cleaner, professional look. We used the website Canva to like make, this is an example of our giveaway posts, which is just like cleaner and it looks better on the eyes. It's more appealing. You get really drawn to it with like the big giveaway. Everybody loves free things. So that brings me to my next point. We ran a giveaway from April 3rd to April 30th to try to get more people to like. We had set rules. You had to like the post, like the Get a Grip's page, and you had to tag 2 friends. And so we thought by doing this, tagging the 2 friends, you're already going to get a follower from the original person who wants the free 5 Zumba classes. And then hopefully you're going to get the 2 friends who are tagged in it to follow the page as well and keep going. So that was a way that we thought would increase natural engagements, because we didn't want to just have them following a bunch of random like businesses and gyms and people in hopes that they're going to follow back, because that's just kind of like a hit or miss. You don't even know if they're going to be interested in what you're doing. So we were doing a more natural following approach, and by doing this, we were able to increase and attract the engagements on the different posts. And I think by the end we had created about between 5 and 10 different posts for them to post that were just a lot cleaner and more professional for them to post. And we incorporated their own pictures that they gave us from Get a Grip of them and a softball team that had come and trained at their program, at their facility. So.
Okay, so you guys can hear me, correct? I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I also was on social media. I was more Facebook, maybe a little bit of YouTube as well. So obviously, as Jake had said before, we worked to identify their key target market, figure out who was going to be the people that we should target everything towards, because that's the most important part, so that we're not basically wasting any time, money, anything from trying to gain followers from people that might not be interested. So we figured that out, and we went on to develop, like, working on the YouTube channel. So what I did, I actually had worked on, like, trying to figure out how to roll stuff out in my last internship. So figuring out, like, on the YouTube channel, how we were able to kind of see what works for other companies and, like, other maybe fitness gurus, you could say, to see how they are able to grow a following and kind of like that. I tried to put that in with how we were going to help with Kevin and Get a Grip. And so they've obviously been working really hard. They have a couple videos that hopefully are going to be out soon so that they can start showing people. They have 2 actually that are at-home workouts that I thought were really good videos. And then the third thing, I guess, was the graphics. Katie taught me a lot about that beforehand because I have never used Canva, and thanks to her, I figured out a little bit of stuff. But like on this training one, this was like posted a week before it was all wrapped up, the giveaway, so that it kind of reminded people to like the page, hopefully spread a little bit more awareness as we were closing on to the time, because people might be able to be more interested as time gets closer. And then after that was identify future growth areas. That's something Joe talked a lot about later, but it was kind of helpful that we were trying to figure out ways that they could help get their brand on things other than just Facebook and YouTube.
All right, and my main focus throughout this project was their webpage. My goal was, how do we create a conversion-centered site that really points and essentially guides the site visitors or potential customers to the end goal, or the conversion, which for them is a monthly to their gym. And looking back at a digital marketing course, which I took last semester with Dr. Liang, there's 5 key principles of developing and designing a conversion-centered website, is what the textbook called it. So I dug back into the textbooks, and those 5 principles are attention, context, clarity, congruence, and credibility, all of which I will show you guys how we applied and really just revamped and built off of what they currently had for a website. Because when it came down to it, we thought, a very clean website is very important to a business like we're attracting new customers, and we need to build that credibility. But first, on the next slide here, we will see what their original website design was like. We'll see a video here on the next slide. This original design was before we touched it. So you can see they have a very nice color scheme. They have their logo right there. They illustrate updates that are going on in the gym. And a few things I really liked about their original design, where you could get a quote up top in the right-hand corner. Here's the About section, a gallery, let's say directions. That is very important. And then here at the bottom, address, contact info, this hours. And Hunter, you can go to the next slide now. So this is after we kind of revamped it, the next video of the finished product, or I guess a work in progress. So a new landing page here, the fun and functional training, sign up now. Here is an About Us section. I guess, yeah, I could just go and you can go to the next slide. So really the first 2 points were action. How do we get a customer to visit our page? And is there a clear call to action? Does everything on the page point toward this, to become that conversion? And the landing page. And a big takeaway I had from digital marketing was the landing page on your website, because this is the first thing that a site visitor is going to see. So you can see there's a very nice clean picture in the background, which it just highlights the Get a Grip training gym. And then it says the fun and functional training. This clearly shows that we are a functional training gym. We're unlike the rest. And then it says, let us help you establish an attainable plan to reach your fitness goals. So it's very open-ended. A lot of people have different fitness goals, whether it is to lose weight, to become more functional, maybe they want to become more athletic, obstacle courses. There's so many different ways and different goals people do have. So really this is catering towards just about anyone, whatever their goal is. And then the big red button that says sign up now. So there's a clear call to action here. We're saying, hey, we can help you reach this goal. All you need to do is click here, sign up now. And the second point of a conversion-centered website, the second key ingredient is context. And really what this seeks to do is answer the question, does everything on this landing page fall in line with what the customer or the site visitor was expecting to see? So if you're scrolling on Facebook or Instagram and you happen to see a Get a Grip training ad, all right, and it piques your interest, you click the link and it takes you to this website. What are people expecting to see when they do arrive at this website? Well, most likely somebody clicked that link and came here because A, they wanted to learn more about what is Get a Grip training, how can they help me? Or two, you may have piqued their interest so much to where now they want to sign up and become a monthly member. Perfect. Each of those, it easily highlights right here, you know, we are a functional training. This is what we do. From there, if you want to sign up, awesome, sign up now. And that just flows great. The context is there, so it fulfills everything that they were hoping to see when they do visit our website. On the next slide here, we have clarity and congruence, which are number 3 and number 4 of a conversion-centered website. So for clarity, we really need to seek the answer, does the site visitor, do they know what is going to happen when they click a button? So when they click sign up now, what are they expecting to happen next? Obviously, they're expecting to sign up or learn more about your product offerings. So from here on the left where it says products, we have group training, open gym, pound classes, and private sessions. This is just displays, you know, different classes and training sessions that we as a gym offer. So once they click sign up, it then takes them to this page. Awesome. They can now pick from their interests. Maybe they're into yoga, maybe they're into pound class, whatever it may be, we have those listed. And once they do decide on which class they would like to try out, they can then click on that, which then on the left here, it shows you the link that is then followed after you click it, just a description of what exactly they are going to get from this class. And it just further illustrates the price. It's easy to add it to your cart. And congruence is hand in hand with clarity. Basically, does everything flow? And is the overall flow of the website, you know, easy to follow? And I think it very much is, because before the original website, it had a get a quote button, but really all that button would do is bring you to a form where you would fill in your personal information. And then from there, they would reach out to you at a later time to try and get you to sign up. But what this really does, it provides clarity and congruence and allows them to add these products to their cart, put their credit card information in right away, just as if you're shopping on Amazon or eBay, because people want things now. If they want to sign up for something, we need to get them to sign up right now before they lose interest. So these things just all work hand in hand for higher conversion rates than before. And then on the next slide here, we have credibility, which is the last main point of, you know, or the last ingredient of making a conversion-centered website. It's all great to show what we do as a company or who we are, but really people need to trust you and know more about you and just really humanize yourself so that they want to use your products. So here we added a testimonial section to their website, and this just highlights 3 main reviews, you could say, from current members: great functional strength training and super nice people. They are very engaged and care about everyone that walks through the door. Kevin has done an excellent job working around my schedule and making sure I'm attaining my goals. So these are from actual people, and me as a consumer, before I buy a product or use a service, no matter what it is, I look at the reviews, I look at the stars on Google, and really that carries more weight to me than anything else. So credibility is a huge part of this, and we even went further with that. On the next slide, you can see we added at the bottom of their website page, we had a Meet the Team section, which shows very candid pictures of the owners, Kevin and Jen, as well as their trainers, Julia, who is their pound instructor, as well as yoga. And below that, this is the most important part, it shows their credentials, their certifications. Why should I come and get trained by Kevin or Jen as opposed to somebody at the YMCA on Utica Ridge or Top Shape in Rock Island? This just shows, their years of experience, their accolades to back that up, and really just makes them more of a human. You can resonate further with them. And, you look at Kevin there, or Julia, she's on vacation. It's just further adds to their credibility, humanizes them a little bit more, hopefully with the end goal of creating a conversion of somebody who really does appreciate that in this website.
Awesome. And real quickly, we just kind of had some small projects throughout the semester as well. One of them was a partnership. We kind of wanted to figure out how we could partner up with other companies around the area or other teams as well, just trying to get our word name out there more. So one opportunity was the Case Creek Obstacle. This summer, they might not be able to do the obstacle 5K run like they had done in the past. So we're going to try to partner up with them in the future so that we can have our name out there on the race, and then also maybe people can come in and train for that mud run through Get a Grip. We also, like I said, had a softball team early on. What we wanted to do is kind of extend that, and we wanted to reach local youth sports teams and maybe have those be their off-season workouts. I know a lot of kids, when they are in baseball season, when that's over, they just have to wait until next baseball season. So to keep in shape, we could kind of offer them this Get a Grip training center, and they could work on team chemistry and everything as well too. Google Verified was very tough to get. We had to do a lot of processes and kind of still trying to figure that out. Just because without a mailbox, it's kind of hard to get Google Verified. So that's one of the last things we worked on. And then also just kind of creating some more team and group opportunities. I know, for example, a lot of people struggle to work out by themselves. So having a team building opportunity where you're kind of forced to go work out with another group might incentivize people to come. So we were going to have some group races maybe, or some opportunities for maybe even the seniors that didn't get a chance to have their senior season because it was cut short due to coronavirus. We were going to give them an opportunity to maybe compete with their team and kind of have one more competition before they graduate. And then lastly, kind of like Joe had talked about, they do a great job at getting to know the people that walk in the door. So we were trying to come up with maybe something small that would kind of catch on. So that people would have like a nickname. I know when you go to a bank, you're a client, or you might be a customer or a member, or when you walk in a store, you're a customer. So we wanted to have something creative for that. So we kind of came up with maybe teammates or grippies. I know grippies kind of stuck just because it's a fun way. So when you join the team, you're kind of a grippy, and that's just kind of something that sticks and kind of creates more of a personal touch. So we thought this project went really well, and we were really excited with how it ended. Just kind of with the last few minutes that we have, we thought we'd jump it over to Kevin and Jen. Maybe they can kind of share some thoughts of how it went, and then also we can answer some questions now as well.
Great. Thank you, guys. So, yeah, I would like to go to Kevin and Jen. And if you had any questions, please ask those. Otherwise, any comments or thoughts would be great.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thanks, John, and thank you to the team. The students did a fantastic job, and I think as far as questions right now, I can't think of anything. But again, just want to say thank you to them for their efforts and staying engaged with us and being as passionate about their project as we are about our gym. I think that speaks a lot to the time and effort and their knowledge, and we learned a lot from them. And I think for me, my biggest takeaway is probably just learning how to leverage our competitive advantage. And they were able to show us that, by working through the Venn diagram on our side as well as theirs. And then we compared it, that helped out a lot. And then just learning additional marketing strategies and a lot of the social media, learning how to manage that much better than previously. So thank you all for everything with that.
Good.
Did you have anything to add?
Pretty much the same. Yeah, we really appreciate all the time that they put into it, and especially through everything that's going on as well. I know there was so many extra obstacles to overcome, and they did a great job. Stayed in contact, and it was great.
One question I would like to ask the group. So this facility is not really on the main drag. It's kind of out of the way, and it's kind of hard to get to. So I was wondering if the group in their discussions had, thought about any marketing strategies, or, how do you get people to go off the beaten path, so to speak, to want to go to a place like this? Because some of the other places are a little bit more accessible.
Yeah, I would say Jake kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. It's just obviously the main people that are going to be coming through their doors to their gym are people that have already heard about them through their website, through their advertisements on Facebook, and they want to go there because it is such a specialized gym. So it's not going to be so much people that are driving by, hey, it's Get a Grip Gym, maybe we should stop it. It's going to be people that have already heard about it from, whether it's other events within the community, or through their website, or through their Facebook. So really, as Jake touched on, and like Kevin said, his big takeaway, leveraging their competitive advantage on social media, on these different platforms, and in person, so that people will drive out of their way because they want to go there because of that advantage that it offers and the value that it would add.
And also on my social media, I started adding their addresses on every single post so people know like where it's at. And honestly, if you look it up, it's not that bad of a drive. It's just like a main road and it's right off there. So
good. And yeah, and you guys, you touched on some other things in your presentation, whether it's a softball team or sponsoring a little league team or something, or, just through social media. So you can, reach a lot of people a lot of different ways. And then just as long as you direct them there, it'll just have to be where they choose to land their destination. So excellent. Okay. Well, group, thank you very much. We're doing fantastic in terms of time. So Kevin and Jen, thank you again for lending your business to our students. Sounds like they had a really great learning experience. And as I said in the beginning, please feel free to stay with us and watch the other presentations if you want to or have time. Otherwise, thank you very much. And then I will ask the next group that has Cinderella Seller, if you would go ahead and share your screen, and then we can go ahead and begin that presentation here in the next minute or so. And I'm keeping an eye on adding guests. So I think right now we have, let's see, Rose, you've been here the whole time, and Rebecca has been here. And then did you have another board member that has joined?
Yes, Kristen, I see your face.
All right, great.
Yep, I'm on.
Great. Well,
And I see Carol down there somewhere. Carol, give a wave. Yep. Anybody else that I can't see? No.
great. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and we appreciate the opportunity to work with you. So who's going to take this one away?
Graydon, did you want to share your screen?
I was actually about to ask you if you wanted to, but I'll see what I can do.
Okay, because I'm working on an iPad. I'm not really sure.
Right, there we are. All right, let's see. Share
Also,
screen.
is Max here? Because he did just email us and say that he was trying to enter.
Here,
I thought I admitted him before.
Oh, okay. I
Can you
see.
see me now?
Yeah.
All right. And then I do have a question. Because I just got back from St. Louis. I was with my grandma. I mean, not doing the best, but that's besides the point. So obviously our project, but on the presentation, did my stuff save because I did it on the computer on the way back, like on my hotspot? So, I mean, I have everything on here, but I don't know if it's just on the presentation. I thought it saved, but since I was on my hotspot, it may not have, but so.
I'm not sure, but if you just want to add some stuff, Max, while we're talking, you can
Yeah.
definitely like just jump in.
Yeah, because I mean, I have all my stuff written down, and I thought I put it in there like on my way back from St. Louis, but I mean, I never know with my hotspot. So I mean, at the end, I could go in and add it like again because I thought I already did. I thought it saved, but just because of my hotspot. But I mean, I have everything here, so I'll hop in when I'm.
And the written report, you guys, you have not sent that yet to Rose yet, have you?
Not yet.
Okay.
I
So
don't
then
believe.
after we'll follow up with that so that they have the written report as well. So, okay,
I
great.
can actually send it to him now, but
Okay.
All right, I think this is kind of complicated, but let's see if this works.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, there it goes.
And present. All right, does this look presentable?
We can see it. Thank you.
All right, good, good. So I'm Graydon.
I'm Alsha.
And I'm Max.
This is our project for Cinderella's Cellar. So originally, going through what we learned, we managed to come up with 4 primary objectives for the business in order to increase their patronism, essentially. Number 1, we're going to increase the foot traffic. Number 2, increase the efficiency of the physical marketing operations. Step 3 is to increase the efficiency of the online marketing operations. And number 4 is to increase the volunteer employment there. So moving into the business overview, Cinderella's Cellar is a business that operates for the call home, I believe it is. Pronounced that way?
Yep.
And so essentially, we found that the target market is women ages respectively 50 to 80 in that range. Their primary goods that they sell, clothing, furniture, house ornamentation, things of that nature. However, they also sell seasonal goods such as prom and homecoming dresses and dorm furnishings for college students. So in this, we found that they use several different forms of marketing, the primary one being paper flyers distributed to local churches and the sign out front. And we also found that they use a lot of marketing through Facebook, and there's a proposed business site as well that we will later discuss in this presentation.
Okay, so the main way we found to increase foot traffic would definitely be to make the outside of the storefront more attractive. So some things that we noticed when we first did our tour of Cinderella's Cellar was the dark windows, and there's almost no lights. You can't really see inside the building. We didn't really know it was a shop if we were just like drivers driving right past the building. And we also couldn't even tell you guys were literally open. So some things we do really recommend is maybe putting hours of the business on the door, investing in an open sign that lights up that you can hang in the window so people can see, and then invest in the sign outside the door also lighting up. And then something so simple as just planting flowers in the yard really increases the intention from drivers. This will make people more prone to stop by, to check it out. And then whenever you're having sales, we also recommend to put up those signs as well, because nothing attracts a customer like saving some money. So definitely when you're having a sale, put up some signs for sales, and customers will definitely be more prone to stop by. So for physical marketing, since we do mostly just do the flyers for our marketing, this is the marketing on the left that they have used in the past. Some things that we just noticed is, one, color. There's not really a lot of it, doesn't really attract the eye. There's not really, going towards the book, there's not really like a call to action for customers to do. If you look at the marketing on the left, it's really hard to tell what you want the customer to do, what call to action that you actually want them to take. Went ahead and made some font bigger. Every information that is on the left is also included on the right. It's just more easy to read, the message is more clear, and it really grabs the attention of the customer.
All right, so I currently analyzed the means of physical marketing, the primary of which being flyers. I find that flyers for smaller businesses tend to actually work pretty well, just because there's no need for huge marketing budgets or anything. There's just no room for that. So flyers do work well pretty typically. For newspaper advertisements, those also work pretty well. Your institution, such as the QC Times or River City's Reader, both of those are decent targets for advertisements. The last time I checked, the QC Times was about $90 for, I believe, a 1-week run of advertisements. And the Quad City Reader was a little bit less than that. So moving on to your locations, primarily, we found that the primary locations for flyer marketing have been the churches, such as the Rock Church, Sacred City, etc. We also found that there are at least 10 other institutions such as that in the Quad Cities that are also prime for marketing. I also found that we could benefit more by marketing to retirement centers as well, such as the Silvercrest Center, Brookside. There are maybe 3 or 4 other centers such as that that do exist in the Quad Cities as well. Which brings us to our recommendations, the periodic use of QC Times. If you target that during your prime seasons, you're more prone to direct more traffic to the store, as well as doing your prom and homecoming dress advertisements at that time, the QC paper. I find that you might be able to bring in more customers that way. Utilizing the church and retirement center flyers, both of those would probably work pretty well just to further saturate your market with literature. I think anything just to get the name out there might work pretty well. And lastly, another idea is to include small flyers with your sales, such as, with the tax receipt. Flyers distributed on an individual basis are more likely to attract repeat consumption by your customers.
And then, then we can go into detail about kind of like the online marketing, obviously, because especially now since everything's going on, a lot of people, online shopping has definitely had a raise in their like profits, and obviously, just because it's a lot easier, especially now, it's a lot, safe rather than people going outside. And obviously, you guys utilize Facebook right now, and has like most of your followers, or I would say most people, most streams, or most people would see it from the Facebook like standpoint. That's where they get, they would get their information from Facebook. And obviously, update Facebook regularly with sales, and the format, especially if it's being public. And obviously it is something to do, especially because I feel like social media is definitely rising, especially, day by day. I guarantee you, it's getting more popular. Everybody's getting more relevant with online stuff like Facebook, Instagram, all sorts of social media. And the website, it's definitely hard to keep up with, especially it's hard to like upkeep with the different like merchandise coming in at all times, because you have to keep updating it, like what's still at the store, what's leaving, what's being bought, what's going back and forth, like, because obviously it's not something that you don't have the same product in stock every day, which it's not a bad thing at all, but it would just be hard to keep like up to date with your your website, because things are leaving and things are coming in, so we just have to keep up to date with those. And other than keeping up like the website, just keeping it up like day to day almost, and being familiar with how to put products on there, like advertise them, and then once they are bought and taking them off. Other than finding a way to do that very like significantly and very like formally, a website could be very beneficial, but just staying on top of it would be like the main thing that would make it work best.
True. I also find that Facebook's a pretty efficient marketing method, given your target market. In doing our research, I found out, according to Pew Studies, which is probably one of the most highly regarded studies out there, that of your target market from ages 50 to 65, about 60 to 70% of people in that age range use Facebook on a daily basis. And for those 65 and older, about 50 or so percent use Facebook on a daily basis. So Facebook should be a very efficient marketing platform for your business, given the target market.
Then we can go obviously into like volunteer employment. One thing that we thought would be most beneficial is that if you guys had more women subscribers. And obviously it is a like volunteer type of business, and so like volunteer like hours of employment, which is very good. And so maybe just market more out for volunteers. Maybe there's plenty of ways. I mean, obviously newspapers, Facebook, as we were saying, maybe just, bulletins in churches, other things like that. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to volunteer but maybe they just have no idea that obviously, they could be doing this and maybe they would love it. And then obviously, like I said before, like the churches, like on bulletins, websites, other websites as in like Indeed.com, Glassdoor.com, maybe even LinkedIn, there could be a thing. And we have some examples like Jerome Day Bible Church, Passion Church, Quad Cities, Bettendorf Christian Church, Vineyard Church of Davenport, Heritage Church, St. Paul. And so obviously the list could keep going on because, it's one of those things, especially with like volunteering, anybody could be like trying to volunteer. You never know. So there's always people that you could target or other places that you could target that could, maybe ring a bell and then make somebody interested and then be like, oh yeah, I would love to do that. So I think those definitely would be a big piece in that, like trying to find like volunteers that would definitely be trying to, be employed, but obviously work and spend time and, like I said before, like volunteer.
So again, for our recommended action plan, we do want to increase the foot traffic. So to make the outside of the store more attractive, to increase the efficiency of the physical marketing, we're going to make our flyers and posters more attractive and easy to understand the action, the message that you want to portray to the customers, and then to increase the efficiency of online marketing. We do want to still have you guys utilize Facebook. And then the website is a great idea, but instead of thinking like online shopping, because you guys are a resale, we would like you to think more like, what would I like my customers to know about my establishment? So who you are, what do you guys support, what do you guys do? And it's also a great idea on your website to, include monthly newsletters, just to let your customers know things that's happening inside the company, things that they can help with and volunteer with. And then also to increase volunteer employment, we do recommend going online. So Indeed does deliver about 60% of all hires made in the US. We do think that would be a great idea. And then of course, our flyers.
All right, this brings us to questions.
Okay, well, Rose, I noticed you got like your whole board here. I think 5 of you or so are on here. That's wonderful.
Yeah, isn't that is awesome.
Open it up for reactions and questions, and then I had some I want to ask as well, but please go first.
Well, the couple of the ladies that are on with us are working on marketing, so they'll probably have some comments. I had a question about increasing volunteer. You're calling it employment. Of course, we know they're not employed, but that's the word you're using. Mm-hmm. How would you use Indeed, which is an employment website, to attract volunteers?
Well, indeed, with that, it's just more like volunteering your time. You can definitely, when you put in like the job description, you can definitely label it as in it's not, you know, paid, but it's more like volunteer work. You can definitely throw in that, you know, that you're a Christian establishment, and that if students do need to, like I know some high schoolers, they need like National Honor Society volunteer hours. That can definitely be a way for you guys to find them as well.
Yeah, maybe that could be one option, but then yeah, I would also think as a volunteer, I'm not sure I'd be going to Indeed to look for volunteer opportunities, but maybe through other civic organizations or places where people are looking to volunteer. So might want to expand that a bit, but yeah,
okay.
Good point.
That makes sense.
To further elaborate with Dr. Burns' statement, personally, when I was looking at the Indeed, I don't see too many offers for volunteer employment, but I do believe that with your physical marketing at churches, further saturating that market is where you would probably find a bit more volunteers.
Yeah. Okay. Carol, or has anything struck you as something you want to bring up?
No, I said I think the students did a wonderful job in a lot of this. I know that we have gone through some of this. I've been doing publicity for probably 6 years now for the organization. And I know we've done a lot of the church bulletins, we've done flyers, we've done the paper, you know, advertising that way. But I think that if we go to the website or maybe online advertising a little bit more. Now I know we're targeting, or they said we're targeting age groups 50 to 80. A lot of these women at that age do not use the computer as much as the younger generation. So I know that, you know, a lot of suggestions were made to go online and do something like that, but I'm feeling that there should be more of a, like I say, a written invitation for people to join us, as they had suggested, through, you know, flyers to the church and, you know, advertisement in the papers and things like that. Otherwise, I think that, like you say, with the upcoming generation, everything seems to be going online, and hopefully we could advertise a little bit more on Facebook. I know that we just have one individual right now in the organization that does that. So if we could train other people to, you know, get onto the website and train them, I think that would be a big help also, you know, bringing up items on Facebook, and then also, like you say, asking for volunteers, or just asking, but just recommending and saying, you know, it's a great organization. If you've got some time, you know, feel free to contact us. And I know I did put something in the Catholic Messenger, which is, we tend to more or less, I know a lot of the other churches were recommended, but we tend to go to the Catholic churches because it did start out as the Catholic Service Board is what our original organization is. And then the women in the Catholic Service Board are the ones that operate Cinderella Cellar, because that's our way of bringing in, you know, our monies or our profits for the call home. So I certainly am looking into this, but it originally started out. So otherwise, I say if Linda has anything to say too, I know Linda's going to take over some publicity for the next year, but anybody else has anything to say? I appreciate what all the students have done. And you know, we can look into some of these suggestions and follow them. And my question is also, is this report on file that we access to this, so we can go back and look at some of these suggestions that they've made? I mean, will that be sent to us?
Yes, I sent it to Rose.
Oh,
You
okay,
did. Okay.
okay, all right. Okay, I just want to say thank you for all the work that, you know, they've done. And I think there's some good ideas there, and we'll just have to, you know, look into that and see if there's other ways that we can attract more women to the organization, and then also make our shop more visible. And, you know, as far as advertising, I know that you had said something about the monies, I mean, the cost of putting advertising in the paper. It's much more than what you had suggested, because most of the advertising in the regular local paper is around $250, and our budget is not, you know, that large that we have that kind of money to put advertisement in on a weekly basis or something like that. But you know, we do have a couple other papers that we advertise in 2 monthly, so check into that.
I know we're probably running out of time here. I have a question on the flyer. So Carol has done a lot of work and has not had any training in graphics or anything, so I highly commend her. But I really like the ideas that you gave out. Where can we find relatively low-cost sources of graphic design if we wanted to redo anything?
Probably St. Ambrose University. And we actually have a graphic design department. And Rose, I can follow up with you. I believe I could probably get you some help from that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would be interested in helping with that too. I mean, I think it's kind of cool, so I'd have no problem in just helping. I think it's kind of
I had a couple questions, and maybe when I see the written report, it will be in there. But one was that you had said that the majority of our foot traffic was based on Facebook. Do you have data from our Facebook site that we could use as a baseline to know whether or not changes that we're making will make an increase in that? Or how did you determine that that was the source of our foot traffic?
I didn't explicitly state that it was the source of the foot traffic. However, you do have a very well established client base. I believe it's somewhere around 586 or so likes, somewhere around in that area, which is actually pretty decent for a small business, especially around here. I also noted in the report that you have exceptional levels of client engagement with your posts online. So that's definitely something that would be useful in drawing more people into the store.
Thank you. Also, too, we do have many, you mentioned the dorm stuff, which we do have. We have lots of furnishings that I think would be attractive to college students that have apartments. We have great buys on, you know, kitchen appliances, all that kind of thing. Do you have any thoughts on how we can appeal to the Ambrose students and other college students in terms of furnishing their apartments?
It's funny you say that, because on our Zoom meeting with our team the other day, we were talking about that, and we were thinking maybe, obviously advertise it with Ambrose. I mean, that would definitely work, obviously, because it's in town. And then we were thinking you could almost kind of target the seniors that are graduating, that are going to college at, Davenport Central, maybe like Assumption, all the schools around then, maybe just hand out a flyer saying that we do have college or like dorm room stuff that would be more than ideal for them to use. And so we were thinking maybe graduating seniors from the high school, the locals, like seniors that are graduating, like that would be decent. Or even just like obviously at Ambrose, because I'm sure people could obviously use stuff, but those would be two places that could definitely, I think, would make a big impact, especially the high schools, because when I was obviously transitioning into my freshman year in college, it was kind of overwhelming in what all that we needed to get and everything like that. And I think Cinderella's.
But how do we reach those students? Is there a Ambrose newspaper, or is there a clearinghouse for information? I know a lot of university papers are going online and doing everything digital. So if we want to reach Ambrose students or Blackhawk students or students going to University of Iowa, we can't, if we say something now, as a high school student, we're going to lose them over the course of the summer. How do we reach an Ambrose student, say, when they're getting ready to go? How do you get information from the university? do we put up a flyer at the entrance to the Rogalski Center and say, come to, come here? Should we do direct marketing like that directly on campus? Or is there a clearinghouse for information that you get? Because I don't know if there's our newspapers anymore.
We do have a campus newspaper known as The Buzz. I don't know if they take advertisements or not. I don't read it too often. However,
so that's the problem. So how do we reach the students, right?
Because I did advertise in the Buzz several years ago, and they did a nice ad for me. But
people are, but how do we reach if you're not looking at it? Where do we go?
Right.
Personally,
Probably
I feel
through the
like
Dean of Students office, we could probably somehow get to students, especially off-campus living students. That could be an avenue.
The last question I had was in regards to the size of the business we are and the volume that we do in sales and our budget. Is there recommendations for what that budget should be dollar-wise? Is it 10% of sales, or is there some recommendation of how much we should be putting into marketing?
marketing for smaller businesses usually shouldn't be as extensive as you'd see elsewhere. A lot of larger businesses might operate anywhere in the realm of 5 to 10%. I find that, however, if you translate that down to a business of this size, you could probably spend about 5 to 10% of your gross profits for different forms of marketing, and it should not negatively affect anything within the business. However, a lot of your Facebook marketing, I don't know if you use Facebook ads exactly, which project it into the general marketplace, but I've seen some Facebook ads, their cost for impression is actually very low and affordable, with about, I think it's like $7.29 is their rate for about 1,000 impressions, somewhere in that range. So if you keep things moderately conservative with your business, I believe that the marketing should still play out and you'll still be all right.
I'm sorry to cut in here, but we kind of are running out of time. I took a bunch of notes. Rose, I'd like to follow up with you about some other ideas that I've had based on hearing this presentation and share some thoughts to you, but I guess I don't want to do it at this current time, but I will follow up with you with that.
I appreciate everybody's input, and you students, great job. Got a lot of good ideas.
Very much.
Good. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for attending.
All
All right. Now,
everybody.
so the market group, you guys are up next. So if I could get someone to share their screen and take the lead on this, we'll go ahead and move forward. I don't see Katie Thompson yet. She might be jumping in. I'll be on the lookout for her. But in the meantime, let's go ahead with that presentation.
Okay. Okay, can you all see it?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. So I am sure that all of you have been to or are familiar with outdoors farmers markets. For our client, for this class, we worked with a business that has a unique twist on the typical farmers market. The market, A Journey to Joy, is an indoor market with a variety of vendors from the local Quad City area. Oops, I don't know what's going on. Okay. The market opened in 2019 and is located in Moline. There are a total of 40 vendors offering products from handmade bath and body products to boutique style clothing, homemade treats, different types of food, and even home decor. The market has a wide variety of products and offers a unique experience to the Quad City area. In terms of marketing, the market has been doing quite well with posting on their social media platforms. They have Facebook and Instagram. They do have a set logo that's in place, and they have a really nicely updated and easy to navigate website. So they're overall getting their name out to the public. But as a new business and for the past year, the market has had little to no branding guidelines for traditional media and social media. As we all know, branding is essential to developing a familiarity between the public and a business. So for the past semester, our group has been focusing on the disconnect in branding and the creation of branded material for social media and traditional media outlets. At the beginning of the semester, we created a to-do list with the following goals on it. The things that we needed to get accomplished over the semester was to create a brand guide, create social media templates, create postcards for fall and winter events, and create social media banners and Instagram stories for events. To set the foundation of the creative side of our projects for the market, I created a 26-page brand guide that goes through the set mission statements, logo variations, color palettes, typography, and social media guidelines. This brand guide is set up like a book, so I'm just going to go briefly through the pages to explain reasoning for my certain branding regulations and etc. So I included a table of contents in the beginning for the convenience of finding certain topics when Katie would be referring to certain parts of the brand guide while creating social media posts or just traditional media aspects. To set the base of the brand guide, it is important to explain the brand and the mission. As I explained earlier, the market is a curated collection of 40 makers, crafters, and curators from the greater Quad City area. The mission as a brand is to serve the Quad City community by offering an opportunity for local makers, crafters, and curators to sell their unique handcrafted products. The first thing that I defined was the key audience. And in this case, the key audience or target market would be around would definitely center on women and probably on average ages of 30 to 65. This is important to recognize in the brand guide because it sets the basis of who the market is trying to reach on social media and through their other marketing material. Messaging and tone is the way that the market portrays itself with their material to the public. So when creating social media posts or postcards for events, you should always reflect on the tone of your brand. And for the market, the tone is a very subtle tone, but a professional tone. So on here, I have everything that the market writes about on social media or in their other types of media forms. They should write personably, thoughtfully, interestingly, and boldly. This should always be reflected in any marketing for this business. It is also extremely important when branding to have a set logo, which the market already had when we started here. They had 3 different logo variations, which is exactly around the amount that is perfect for a company. So that kind of just sets the bottom tier for everything else. If you have your set logos and you're able to just branch off of that with your color scheme and everything. So this is also giving the opportunity for if you are to bring in a graphic designer or you're wanting to get stuff put out in newspapers or anything, you have your logo set and there isn't too much of a variety of logos that would make the consumers confused. It's just keeping a consistent brand. So there's the other 2. The color palette was actually one of my favorite areas to work on in the brand guide, because when we went to Katie for the first time, we talked about like, what are the colors that you use? We saw that the green and the blue were in the logos, but she also liked other pastel colors. So it was really awesome to actually take the amount of pastel colors and break it down into just these 4 colors. So the 2 primary colors that should be used is the green and blue, which are featured in all of the logos. And then the secondary are a dusty pink and a lavender, and that would just be for a little touch on any type of stuff you're putting out on social media or anything, just to spice it up a bit and make it more fun and engaging. Now the typography portion of this was probably the most difficult. So when I had asked for the fonts from the graphic designer, she sent those. But when you hire a graphic designer to create logos, they typically have purchased certain fonts for those logos. So I'm assuming that those fonts were purchased. So from that, our group just had to find fonts that still upheld the brand that's in the logos, but they weren't the exact same. So I broke this down just into when using Canva, because we used Canva for all of our projects. So when using Canva, just use these 3 fonts. And then when using any type of Microsoft, using those 3 fonts, which are also pretty similar and still give that branding that we're looking for. So now on to the most complicated part of this is the social media strategies. And the social media strategies are in place to just achieve the goal of creating a professional and well-developed social media account. So the guidelines should be accounted for with each social media post, and you shouldn't stray from these guidelines unless deemed necessary and appropriate. The overall aesthetic with all forms of social media, it is always important to stay consistent with the market's brand. Staying on brand will make the market more recognizable to the public and will keep a professional presence on all of the social media platforms. So here I just noted a few things that it's nice to keep in mind when posting anything onto social media platforms. So your habits should be that you are checking social media platforms daily, engaging with followers by liking and responding to comments, which I've seen on the market's Instagram and Facebook. This is going on, and that is great. That's keeping a really great engagement between the company and the consumers. And also posting content at least 2 times per week on each platform. This just ensures that you are being consistent with your posting and just keeping that engagement flowing on there. Overall, you should always keep the website URL in the bios and always use logos as the profile picture just to show that brand off. The colors obviously stick to the 4 branded colors that we have created here in the brand guide when creating any type of graphics or anything that goes on social media. In terms of graphics, use graphics that have been sized correctly for social media platforms. That's something that's simple. You can do that on Canva. And only use graphics deemed appropriate for the social media content. So if you're doing a day that is about arts and crafts or doing some type of thing there, make sure to either post pictures from past days that you have done that and brought people in, or make sure that the graphic really goes with that. For language and tone, keep that semi-professional tone. Don't be robotic with it, but keep a professional tone at some point. Have proper grammar and act appropriately with posts and comments, which has not been a problem as I look through the social media. For photos, stick primarily to photos owned by the market and taken by someone at the market. Also, you can use legal photos from designated websites, but it would be best to just stick with photos that you have taken or graphics that you have created. For interactions, communicating frequently is important to develop the market's presence on social media, and this will increase the traffic and engagements on the page. And to actually track your interactions, I also created a social media analytics Excel spreadsheet, which I will be sending over for you to hopefully get going on that, to track how your interactions are going on that and how many people are actually seeing your brand and interested in what's going on. For your post guidelines, posts should be used for high quality content. They should be on brand and always be strategic. Posting on the feed several times, being relatable and approachable with images and language to create an inviting and personable account. That's really important. Keep including promotional content, events, giveaways, holiday posts, store closing, etc. And use graphics. Make it enjoyable to look at. For captions, captions should remain professional and informational. There really is no standard caption structure overall that I'm suggesting, as each aspect of the content needs a unique structure for what you'll be posting. Avoid unnecessary, overly wordy captions. That is definitely a big thing, because no person scrolling through social media wants to read a huge paragraph. They'd rather just have it be in a graphic or a small sentence that's just explaining what's going on. And hashtags. This is a business account, not a private account, so hashtags should be used to boost traffic. And you can check results of these hashtags. Primarily use hashtags with less than 300,000 results. That's just ensuring that you're really boosting your traffic on your page and they're not too broad. So now that I've developed the brand guides for this, I'm going to turn this over to Jaya, who is going to explain some creative stuff that she created for social media and just some other traditional media projects.
Thanks, Hillary. So, like Hillary had said, my portion of the project, what I worked on is that Katie wanted us to do postcards, either physical postcards or anything digital to try to display graphic designs. So I was told to be able to do postcards for specific events from September to December, and then also making a general postcard. So the general postcard, what I had made is this is something she could hand out to customers, whether they come in the store, or she could even mail this out. And it's basically the very top photo is the front of the postcard, kind of identifying the logo, the brand, what it is, and the websites where they can find them. On the back of the postcard, what I have is another logo, as well as representing their address. So the customers could be able to find them whenever they want to go visit the market, as well as see the hours that the market is actually open. And like I said, I made postcards per each event. We were told anything from September to December of this year. We wanted to make something that was simple but well organized, that still had the colors like the brand guide did. It had the same fonts and same kind of aesthetic. So one of the very first events that is happening in September is the fall reveal. So we wanted to keep the postcard very simple, something she could hand out to people in the store. And the front of it is very simple. It says what the fall reveal is, the date, and on the back, it has all the information of where you could find more information about that specific event, or the websites, including Facebook, Instagram, their website, and their logo again. And as you can see, each postcard, including this one, it just contains the 4 main colors represented in the brand guide. So this is another postcard. This is specifically for the pop-up and the customer appreciation event in October. Again, this is the Christmas reveal. This has more of the greenish, kind of reddish tones, but still along with a brand guide of the colors we're trying to stay true to. Like Hillary said, we're trying to make it kind of consistent with what the brand guide originally has, and keep the consistency of what the brand is, but also tie in a little bit of other changes according to events. And this is this is the Business Saturday. This is another event happening in winter, specifically November 28th. So the front of the card is obviously on the left, the back is obviously on the right side. And this is another postcard layout. This basically could be changed and tweaked, because we also use so the colors could be changed, the fonts could be changed, the colors could be changed. I'm sorry, the designs of the post could be changed, but we're keeping it very general and keeping it consistent. Moving on to something else that Katie had recommended us to do. So she is very active on Facebook and in Instagram, but more so on Facebook. So we were asked to make specific templates, Katie, to use for the market to be able to post on social media. So she asked us like 7 to 10 postcards, or 7 to be able to post on the internet. Here's one. So what we did is, again, we chose the brand, we chose where she could type, and we've already specifically chosen the colors. And so obviously the brand guide, what specific fonts she wants ahead, and made these templates so wherever she types, it's already those fonts she needs, so she could just plug in any information or take information away or tweak it and use it for another post. This is something that could, it still has the specific colors, has a little bit that she could tweak around if she wants for seasonal post social media. This is a bit more muted, but this also follows the colors that the market represents. This one's a bit more colorful. We thought this would be a nice idea for summer or for spring, has flowers, like how the market logo has its flowers inside the house. You could change flower colors on the actual template to follow any other color if you wanted to change summer or for spring. Here, we wanted something a bit more springy, so a bit more colorful and light. We added a specific color of pink that was already on the brand guide, and we just wanted to elaborate on the specific colors that we were given. This is very similar, but this is slightly a different template. Yet again, we try to make multiple templates for her to understand, or some simple templates for her to tweak the way she wants it to. This is also a simple template where you could just put in an event that's going on. You could put a disclaimer or something that's going on in the store.
Okay, so I had the Facebook headers and Instagram stories. So Katie had asked for seasonal Facebook headers as well as Facebook headers with the events on them, and then some Instagram stories for the reveals. So the first two Facebook headers are for fall and winter, and for these I really just followed the brand guide. I didn't want to stray away. I tried to pull in most of the similar colors, and then I didn't show them, but I also made seasonal event ones. They're very similar. The only difference is that they have all the events on them in the form of a Facebook header. And then these are the summer and spring ones. Just very simple, trying to keep it into the color palette and typography, just making it pop out. So when people go to their Facebook, this is the first thing they see, and they see the uplifting colors and feel for what the market represents. So seasonal Instagram stories. So for these, I was able to do a little bit more since these are only going to be up for 24 hours. You're able to use more colors, different variety of fonts. I still tried to keep it similar to the brand because I didn't want to stray away too much. So like for this one, very springy. I wanted to have the date, spring reveal. It's very eye-catching. The nice thing about these is that since they are only up for a certain amount of time, there's more variation to them. And the reason why you're able to do more with these is because it won't be changing the Instagram feed. It won't be messing up with the aesthetic, and it will be still following their brand, but without messing up the face of their Instagram. So this is the winter.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on.
No, you're good.
Okay, there you go. Sorry.
So this is the fall reveal. So like I stated, this green's a little deeper than the one that we chose, but it's still following the overall theme. And then same for the winter one. I just really wanted to make these eye-catching, so people would see it, want to go to their page, go to their Facebook, and find out more about these reveals. And then that's all we have for you. Are there any questions? We had so much fun working with the market.
I would just, comment. I was so impressed with the consistency and the imagery with everything that you put up there. It's like, wow. I mean, obviously that was your goal in following through, but it's like, yeah, really, really powerful. That image is stuck in my brain, between the colors and the leaf flowers and the fonts and all that stuff. I think you guys did a really good job of an example of, just brand consistency. I mean, there were some variations, but it all looks so much the same. And I think that's a good example of how you can, cement this image in people's minds. Because, it just was so consistent. And I guess that's my big comment. I'm not really sure I have any questions. I just did get a text from Katie about a half hour ago saying something came up and she couldn't make it. So I'm sorry she didn't get to hear this. I'm actually recording this, so if I can, I will try to send it to her. But team, I'm sorry that she wasn't here for this. But no. Rest of the class, any comments or questions from anyone else? And Jay, I had no trouble hearing you or seeing you the whole time. I know we were worried about that with
Awesome.
your connection, so it went through just fine. So, okay. All righty. Well,
Thank you so much.
yeah, you bet, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and move to our last group, Lily and Pine. And if you guys want to, I don't know who's going to take the lead here, but if you want to share your screen, and let's move on with the final project. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna try to share it here, and we'll see if it works. If not, Callie said she could do it, so
okay.
I'm on an iPad.
Right.
Okay, let's see. Yeah. Okay, I'm not so sure if I'm able. Okay, Callie, you might have to do it. There we go.
Okay, is everybody good?
Yes.
Yes.
Or I am.
Okay. Okay, so we worked with Lily and Pine, and they're a locally handcrafted bath and body products using plant-based ingredients, and they're located in Rock Island. And they're a pretty well-established brand, so what we were working on with them, we decided to just work on narrowing down their ideal customer, narrowing down into a brand manual, and working on their email marketing.
Right. So moving into their ideal customer, kind of when we first met with Liam Pine, we talked a lot about finding that direct relationship with their customer. And so I kind of decided to take that and look at more of their analytical side of their business by looking through their Shopify and Google Analytics to kind of see what sort of patterns we could find within that and sort of determine what products are really their best sellers and what do customers really prefer and what do they connect with. And a lot of what we found is we found a certain demand for a lot of products, and they actually experienced quite a big change during the pandemic, altering some of their product offerings by bringing in a new product, which saw a huge spike in demand. And we also found that a lot of customers of Lily and Pine have an understanding of what it means to purchase from a small business and sort of follow these certain core values that customers hold themselves and they sort of idealize and connect with within their business. And so move into the next slide, this kind of gives you an idea of what is going on during the pandemic right now. And so Lily and Pine actually started producing hand sanitizer. They had a large amount of raw materials that they could use to produce hand sanitizer. And so they kind of took on that responsibility. They took a crash course in shipping hazardous materials, which hand sanitizer is considered now. So, they had a bit of a learning curve, learning how to, produce this product and get it out to their customers. But, that once they finally really nailed that down and got to work on it, they saw a huge increase and actually became, in the last month, it became their top-selling product. And sort of right now, their kind of ideal customer is the reality is a lot of people are looking for personal care products such as soap, hand sanitizer, and any really sort of cleaning product just because of the situation that we're in and the current world events that are going down. And so, looking forward to when the pandemic starts down and the world starts to get back into a more normal flow that we are used to again, we could see another shift in sort of what Lily and Pine was doing before into moving into not as much into hand sanitizer, but focusing on more of the other personal care products that they offer. And, they might see a change in their sales, and they might even see a little bit of a drop. But I think more of what this point here that Josh was trying to make at the end is more of, you'll see a difference in their products than versus, they're largely dominated by their new hand sanitizer project that they just brought in. So moving to my next slide is kind of the more of the analytics and more of their repeat sales that they actually saw an increase by. And so when I looked into their Shopify analytics, I saw that they had an increase of 35% in their repeat customer sales from compared to March into April. And so a lot of that came down to hand sanitizer. Customers were coming back to purchase this product because it was a place where it was readily available and it was a product that satisfied their needs. And they had a lot of unofficial brand ambassadors who posted onto social media, mostly Facebook, praising Lily & Pine's product and saying what a great product it was, and praising other things about their business that drew in other customers, which also led to another increase in sale from comparing March into April. And so this is kind of a good business acumen, if you will, of showing how Lily & Pine was able to adapt to what is going on in the real world and kind of using that to their advantage, and sort of being able to, as a lot of small businesses are suffering and struggling with the current pandemic and the shutdown of non-essential businesses, but it kind of shows how if you're able to adapt in the right ways, you can still continue to keep on the right path and keep going and be able to turn a profit in this sort of environment. And so moving to my next slide is kind of what we were planning to talk about before the current events transpired and we all had to move to online classes. So kind of getting into their real ideal customer is they want to target people who understand the value of small business and supporting small businesses. So Lily & Pine actually introduced during the pandemic a 10% giving back program to other small businesses in the local area as a part of their proceeds. So, they're doing this business for the greater good is something that we've talked about in this class, and I'm sure we've talked about in many of our other classes. And kind of what that means is, while you're doing business, it's important to give back to other causes in the world, whether that is going back to cleaning up our oceans, or if it is something like helping out your local communities and giving back. And so we've noticed that there is sort of this trend into giving back to your communities and doing this kind of business for the greater good. And I know it'll be touched on a little bit later in this presentation, but we kind of gave Lily & Pine some core values and a mission statement to really kind of narrow that down and focus on. And one of those is kind of their family values and community. Is that something that's ever present in Lily & Pine? Is it's a mother-daughter company, and a lot of their posts on social media are actually of the mother and daughter, and kind of really embody that family aspect. And that's something that consumers value, and it really gives them that feeling of they're helping out a family that's like them as well. It gives them that real direct and personal connection that it's hard to generate for some bigger brands, but in a small business that can be present, and that really helps people connect with them, and that can drive sales. And so moving into more about just a general industry, I just kind of found this study from the Klein & Company, which is a global researching firm, and we found that younger consumers actually tend to prefer more transparency in the ingredients, especially in naturally made products in personal care specifically. So this is something where Lily & Pine excels, because they have naturally handmade products, and they've done a really good job in displaying that on their website and on their social media posts and their branding and that. And we have some more suggestions to add that in later in the presentation, but that's kind of where they have that sweet spot. And it's almost like their competitive advantage, where they do have this offering of a natural handmade product, which people do prefer in younger consumers. So this kind of leads me in to our next point. Is I know we talked about in our meetings with Lily & Pine, they had they do offer a current gift box right now where you would purchase it and then you could send it as a gift to a friend, a mother, or a teacher, or something like that. It's just kind of a fun gift idea for an occasion. And I know we had previously spoken about maybe turning that into a more of a subscription service where, you know, you could get a package. It'd be every month, and it could be a variety of different products that, you know, come in this package, and it would allow Lily and Pine to not only have this, you know, they would be getting these repeat customers that they were after, but it also allow consumers to try different products that they might necessarily try. They wouldn't go out of their way to buy because they don't necessarily see the need for it, because, you know, they don't have that kind of real world application for the product. But through this subscription service, they could see more. They would be able to add these products that, you know, don't sell as well to something like their hand sanitizer right now, and they could include that in this package, and that could ideally boost these sales. And so what I kind of wanted to do with that bit is move into, you know, I've seen other subscription-based boxes like this, and, you know, to relate it to something that I am more familiar with in terms of an industry, is there's this thing called a company called Loot Crate. And so what they do is they offer a subscription-based service that, like we suggested and we talked about with Lily and Pine, but is more geared toward video game memorabilia and stuff like that. And so a lot of it is, you know, it could be posters, figurines, and stuff like that. It's sort of something to add to collection based on a certain video game franchise. And so, you know, we have seen there is a demand for this kind of service. And I know that for moving back into personal care, there are makeup and beauty based type subscriptions. So there's this kind of demand, but we believe that it is more for this ideally younger consumer base that is more interested in these handmade, naturally made products. So, you know, ideally you're looking at between 25 to, I'd put about the max at 40 is where I kind of had that sweet spot range. And I also did some diving into Lily and Pine's Facebook, as I know I mentioned just briefly that they did have some unofficial brand ambassadors, is what we call them. You know, they would be posting, you know, kind of their reviews on the product that they purchased and posting that to Lily and Pine's Facebook. And they would mention, a lot of what they mentioned actually is their, you know, they thought it was a great thing, this 10% giving back program that Lily and Pine did. And they mentioned how they loved that they were able to, you know, support this family, but they were also supporting other small businesses while they were doing that. So that kind of, you know, proves that continuing to do this business for a greater good and targeting those types of customers and driving repeat sales is sort of ideally what they would want to go after. And also from their Facebook posts, I did see as well that a lot of people were pleasantly surprised with purchasing these gift boxes that they would eventually like to turn into somewhat of a subscription-based service. I saw a post where a father of a family had actually, you know, he didn't know what he wanted to get for Mother's Day for his mom, and so he decided to go on to Lily and Pine and buy this gift box for his mother. And that kind of, I think that kind of encapsulates what that box is trying to do. Is it gives you, it's almost that you know, it takes a certain amount of curiosity to invest into that type of product, but that's ideally what you're looking at. Is it's giving you an opportunity to try new things and to try new products, and having that feeling of being pleasantly surprised might drive you back into buying that product again, and it would generate more repeat sales.
So moving into the brand guide, after talking with Lily and Pine, it was determined that they needed a consistent brand guide to adhere to some more consistent standards, because consistency helps to build awareness and recognition amongst consumers and seeks to enhance trust. So Lily and Pine started out with a logo and a few select fonts, but they didn't have any set standards. So we created a brand manual to kind of formalize these standards. To start out, we started with the mission statement, and a set mission statement helps businesses make decisions and create content that aligns with the company's beliefs. Lily and Pine had worked on creating a mission statement before, but was unable to really fully develop one. When they were talking with us at the beginning, they really just stated that they wanted to be of service to everyone. So with this in mind, a mission statement was designed to position the family and the brand as family-oriented and service-focused. So we have this tagline, handmade skincare created to serve, just as a smaller version when they didn't want to put out the whole mission statement. And then this is the entire mission statement here. Another part of the mission statement is the core values. And core values are also important to a brand identity because they further assist in decision-making and strategy. A brand consults their core values before creating content, collaborating with other companies, or making hiring decisions. It all is about whether or not new opportunities align with their core values. So Lily and Pine's core values are service, teamwork, encouragement, and happiness. The next part of the brand manual is the logo. And Lily and Pine had one logo and a bunch of different variations that they included on their website and brand packaging. But we wanted to narrow it down into one primary logo and then 3 secondary logo options. The primary logo is going to be used on all product packaging, email marketing, and social media where relevant. The consistent use of that primary logo builds a brand identity in the minds of consumers. And then the secondary logos offer options when a primary logo may not work. These can be used on the social media as website accents or on products that might not fit that primary logo. Moving on to the color palette, Lily and Pine already consistently used that first color, C, but we wanted to add some complementary colors that also appear, like rose and bluebell, just to give the brand more variety in their color palette options. Then the color codes are also included in the brand, will just assist Pine with using the brand colors in a variety of mediums and platforms. Moving on then to typefaces. Lily and Pine has several typefaces already included, but we wanted to attach some standards to those typefaces to further facilitate consistency. So the primary typefaces, Playfair Display and Oswald, were already used across Lily and Pine products and communication channels. That primary typeface, though, we were going to limit to just headings, and Oswald is going to be more of that body copy. Because Playfair Display is a strong and elegant typeface, which matches Lily and Pine's graceful aesthetic, while Oswald is a more approachable and readable typeface, making it perfect for product descriptions and longer website copy. Then those secondary typefaces are more decorative fonts to be used as accents, and they complement the primary typefaces nicely. Moving then on to the product packaging, Lily and Pine already had kind of a set product packaging, but not every product was the same. So we wanted to standardize that procedure and make it so every product had the Lily and Pine primary logo, the product name in all capital letters in that Oswald typeface, the product type in all lowercase letters in that Oswald typeface, kind of a tagline in a decorative font, and then the product weight. An additional part that we had not originally talked about Lily and Pine using, but then decided to add, was some social media templates. So they have a branded social media templates for their Instagram stories just to help them contain and keep a consistent brand image on social media, as well as a brand mood board that can further inspire packaging design and assist with creating content that evokes this experience that you are created when you're looking at the mood board. So then moving on to all of these branded items can be used in other communication materials like email marketing.
So I focused on email marketing, and to start off, when we had talked to them, this is something that they hadn't done before, so we thought this would be beneficial in helping increase their subscribers. As you can see, they already have quite a significant amount of subscribers right now, but they had contacted me about current ideas that they had that they could put into their newsletters. So there's some of them there listed. And then I decided to use Canva to actually go about creating the newsletters. So with the first email, so we divided the email marketing section into 3 emails, and all of the designs that I created are going off of Callie's brand guide. And the first one is basically just greeting new subscribers, welcoming them into the newsletters. So we thought it was very that was beneficial to add the mission in there as well, just to give the subscribers an idea of what Lily and Pine is all about. And then the second email is to point subscribers to resources. So I kind of broke it into 3 separate parts, where one is a highlighted section. This could be click on this to go shop here on our website, or here's a product that's out now that we feel best represents, you know, a certain holiday. So for example, Mother's Day that's coming up. So I used that one. And then on the side of that, I had find out more about our team, our story. So they can actually go and click on those and find out more about Lily and Pine and what they do. And then also we thought it was important to have the social media on the bottom so that they can go click on them, go follow them as they are doing with the newsletter. And then the last is basically a closeout welcome sequence, giving the subscriber a thank you for joining the newsletters. This lets us know what to expect moving forward. So maybe we thought if it's a weekly newsletter, maybe every Wednesday, this newsletter would be sent out. So just keeping it consistent, keeping in contact with these subscribers is very important. And throughout all of the emails, like Callie had mentioned before, the primary logo is being used to identify the. And then the last thing that I did here was basically just a simple template that they can use to send out their newsletters weekly or monthly, whatever they choose to do. These templates can be used for things like promotions or business news stories, anything that they want to get out there and let their subscribers know. There was an idea about maybe possibly doing some type of giveaway on newsletters, like maybe a monthly giveaway where people, or where the subscribers join in and say, oh, I'll sign up for this and possibly win something for it. We didn't really talk too much into that, but then I basically just created one where I thought a lot of words, if needed, could be used on template 2 or on template 1, if not as many words need to be used.
Terrific. Okay, thanks. So Katie and Kathy, I know you were able to join us midstream here. So I will ask a couple of questions and then invite you to ask any questions or comments that you might have. And then, going back to the brand guide, similar to what you guys did for the market, I think that's really powerful and important. Just, you know, the colors, the fonts, and just the consistency. It really cements that image in the customer's mind. Today's presentations have really brought that out to me. Really like the recommendation about making sure that the same label is put on all of the products, even though the products are different. But just having that consistent label there, I think that was a great recommendation. Jordan, one question I have for you was, you talked about releasing a series of emails, and I think it was 3. What would be, do those come out 3 days in a row, or 4 days in between? What's the sequence on that? And what's the thought process behind that sequence?
Yeah, I think maybe keeping it within the first week. So if the subscriber just joined, sending that welcome email, and then maybe the next day showing them where to go, like how they can use their resources, and then maybe thanking them, but maybe hold the 3rd email off maybe to the next week. You probably don't want to like completely spam them with a ton of emails, but I think it is very important to keep them updated, especially weekly.
Yeah. Okay. Terrific. So I guess Katie and Kathy, I know you came in towards the last part of the presentation, so you're at a little bit of a disadvantage there, but obviously you worked with the group through the semester. Any questions that you have of the group, or over what you saw, or if not questions, comments, or just any topics that you want to talk about with regard to this project and the business?
Well, thank you, John. This is Kathy, and apologies for joining late. We really challenged this team. We challenged them to come at us as though they were a marketing firm wanting to sell their services to us. So I think we really loaded this project, and the deliverables that we agreed on, they delivered on. And the timing couldn't be better. We're looking to automate more of our business with these messages right now. We're pretty overwhelmed with orders. So anything we can automate and have templates for, and now you've handed that to us.
I do have one question. Are we going to be able to watch this? Is it recording that you can send to us?
I am recording it. I've been having some problems sending it, but I'm going to work with my IT people. So crossing my fingers that I'll be able to get this presentation to you. Otherwise, the group said they would gladly do the whole thing again tomorrow.
Oh my God. Well, because this is my feedback on this situation. I feel like we got to meet a really talented group of individuals that I felt like, I know we were using monopoly money to pay them for their services, but I felt like these were people that I would have paid real money for what we got. It was worth real money. And I was really impressed and kind of got excited again about my business talking to them. And the fact that we missed the bulk of the presentation, you know, is devastating, because I feel like we missed out on a great asset there. So, you know, we will pour over the written portion of their report. But yeah, I guess that's the only way I can say it. I feel like we paid real professionals to give us recommendations and to take a look at our brand. And I felt like our brand was in really good hands with this group.
Yeah. And just for the rest of the class, this has been kind of a fun journey for me. I worked with Kathy for probably 25 years at St. Ambrose before she joined her daughter, Katie, in this new business. And I believe, is this the third time that we've worked together?
The fourth student.
Fourth? Okay, so this is this business was going to be successful from the beginning, but when the look of this company the first time we worked with them and how they look now, wow, it's light years ahead, and a lot of that's
it's
just
like the girl that got their braces off.
Yeah, but it's been fun, you know. When I think of and it's all been the marketing strategy classes, the first project versus the second, the third, and the fourth. And so we're tackling some things that we wouldn't have even thought about doing. They weren't ready for it at the first time, but it's fun to see a business go through these growth cycles and get to work on some different things. So as they alluded to, some of their success is due to the credit of the students who've worked on these projects. You guys really are doing fantastic work. So I hope you enjoyed working on this and the other three projects we saw today. But yeah, so that will wrap things up for the semester. If you guys got a final you got to get to in the next 5 minutes, your travel time shouldn't be too much since you're just sitting at your computer. Let's see, just as a reminder, I think your clients have their reports, but if you haven't sent those yet, make sure you send the client and me a written copy of the report. And your final has been, I posted that yesterday, so try and get that done. If you can do it by noon or 5 p.m. on Friday, I can get those things taken care of. Other than that, wow, guys, it's been a weird semester, especially the second half of it. But, you know, that's just kind of the way life rolls. And sometimes you're going to encounter some of these changes. I mean, the workplace, each of these organizations you've been working with, they've been changing the way they do business. And so everybody's had to change on this. But it's good to adapt and good to learn how to do things a little bit differently. But this concludes our project presentations. I want to thank everybody for their contributions and their efforts, and for our clients that are still on the screen, thank you for giving us the opportunity and for spending your time with us. So that's all I got. Thank you, everybody. And you should be able to find a red X or somewhere near the bottom, and you can go ahead and exit. And I will stick around till.
Good luck on finals.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Hey, John, since we did such a good job, we shouldn't have to take the final, right?
Well, that's a great question, Hunter. You know, I will take that under advisement, but I want to give you the opportunity to demonstrate your knowledge, which I know you got in your brain.
Awesome. All right. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.